Those who have been following me on Bookstagram and Booktube know that I have been non-stop raving about the upcoming Netflix series Shadow and Bone, which is set to release on April 23rd. I just can't keep calm. There is just 4 more days to go. And even after my repeated coaxing and forcing, if you have not managed to read the book, it's okay, I forgive you. But you might need some background information about the books to understand and to settle into the story from the get-go. But do not worry, here I am, your own Bookaholic BrownNymph, coming with a crash course on the Shadow and Bone series. So without further ado, let's get into the Grishaverse. Before I take you through the nitty-gritty of the Grishaverse, let me tell you this. If you enjoy this video, please don't shy away from liking and sharing it with your friends. And also, please subscribe to my channel, Bookaholic BrownNymph. So, let's get into the Grishaverse now. The Shadow and Bone Netflix series is based on a series of young adult fantasy books written by Leigh Bardugo. And there are several books in the series, but as per Leigh Bardugo, they have mixed characters from the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the Six of Crows duology. The universe or the world where the events of this book unfold is called the Grishaverse. So the best way to understand the world of Grishaverse is to look at the map. So here is the map. The main place where the events of the TV series happens is the country called Ravka. Ravka is also the main place where Shadow and Bone trilogy happens. Ravka is home to Grisha, based on which the whole entire Grishaverse is based on. I will take you through the details of what Grisha means in detail sometime later, but for now just understand that Grisha are people with magical abilities, kind of like witches and wizards. And to the north of Ravka is the country of Fiora, and Fiorans do not like Grisha. They actually have assigned witch hunters called Druskeli who are supposed to hunt down, capture and burn Grisha. Because of this, Ravka and Fiora are at war. And to the south of Ravka, you have the country of Shuhan. The Shus do not hate Grisha, but they're very curious about where their abilities come from. If a Grisha is captured, they are subjected to extensive medical experiments so that they can understand what's behind the magical ability of the Grisha. So they are not that friendly with Shuhan as well. And while this hostility is going on between the three countries, the country Ravka itself is divided into two by this monstrous swath of darkness called the Shadowfold that was by mistake created by one of the ancient Grisha, that is the Shadowfold. This Shadowfold is not it's very difficult to pass through. It's dangerous and scary. Scary not just because of its darkness, but it's also because it is inhabited by monstrous wild creatures called Volcra who could tear apart anybody in just seconds. So it is almost impossible to cross the Shadowfold and reach the West Ravka. And another important place that is going to appear in the series is Ketterdam. Now, Ketterdam is an island and it is an international hub of business. They say that you can get anything in Ketterdam for the right price, and it is home to also a pleasure district called the Barrel, from which our characters of Six of Crows hail from. But in this series we understand that only 5 of the crows are going to appear, because Wylan, who is the 6th of the crows, the youngest one, will not be making an appearance because the 6th of Crows duology happens many years after the events of the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and so when you are mixing the characters of both of these two, I think Wylan has not yet come into the scene. So this is way before Wylan is introduced to the crows as such. So that is the world of Shadow and Bone. Now that you're familiar with the layout of Grishaverse, let's understand what Grisha are. So Grisha, like I said earlier, are people with magical capabilities. There are three orders of Grisha: corporalki, etherealki, and materialki. Corporalki are the order of the living and the dead. There are basically three kinds of corporalki: the heart renters, the healers, and the tailors. Heart renters basically can snatch the air out of your lungs and lower your pulse, crush your heart just by thinking about it, and that makes them extremely dangerous, and they are one of the highest order of the Grisha. And healers basically can heal whatever the heart render does to you or anybody does to you. Basically, they are the super doctors of the Grishaverse. And then you have tailors. So tailors can basically tailor or change your appearance, basically kind of plastic surgeons of the Grishaverse. So that's corporalki. Then you have the etherealki. Now etherealki basically have the capability of manipulating matter. So etherealki are the order of summoners, so they can summon the elements of the earth like matter, and basically they cannot create matter because they can, of course they cannot create or destroy matter, but what they do is they use existing matter, manipulate it, and then use it for their magic. So you have the swallowers, you have the inferni, you have the tide makers. So inferni, they have the ability to summon gases like hydrogen or methane or whatever which is combustible, and create fire from an existing spark. But basically they need some kind of flint to ignite the spark. Then you have the squallers. So the squallers manipulate air pressure to create storms. So tide makers, they use pressure and temperature to manipulate water. Third order is the materialki. They are basically the science geeks of the Grishaverse. They are kind of laboratorians. There are two kinds of materialki, durust and alchemy. So the durust basically work with solid materials like steel, and they create armor for the army and textiles, glass, etc. The alchemy basically work with poisons and combustible materials and blasting powders and things like that. And two kind of Grisha that I left off for the last are also part of etherealki. The summoners are the shadow summoners and the sun summoners. Now shadow summoners, basically there is only one existing right now, which is the Darkling, over which the entire Grishaverse stands are gushing over, who is being portrayed by Ben Barnes. The shadow summoner can manipulate darkness to achieve whatever magic he wants to perform. And then you have the sun summoner, and sun summoners can manipulate sun, basically the energy of the sun or the light from the sun to perform magic. And sun summoners and shadow summoners are considered the most powerful out there. Our main character, the heroine of the TV series, Alina Starkov, is a sun summoner, and the Darkling thinks that his power together with Alina's power can be used to destroy the Shadow Fold and can unite Ravka and end the crisis, basically end the war, basically. So that's the basic of what Grisha are. So let's talk about some of the characters we expect to see in the series. As I said, the main character is Alina Starkov. She is one of the children who has been orphaned by the raging war of Ravka. She basically is the sun summoner, and she is the heroine of the entire series. So next comes Mal, one of my favorite characters, and Mal is short for Valiant Oretsev. He is the childhood friend of Alina Starkov, and she actually falls in love with him as well. And basically he's an excellent tracker, and he is part of the first army. So the first army is the army based on soldiers, and the second army is the army based on Grisha, which is led by the Darkling. The Darkling is General Kerrigan, who has a huge fan base among the Grishaverse fans. He is charismatic, he is gifted, and he has spent years to find out a way to destroy the Shadowfold so that he can rescue his country, Ravka, from this raging war. And that's Darkling for you. Then you have the Crows. My favorite character in the entire Grishaverse is Kaz Breaker. He is mysterious, he doesn't talk much, he is the leader of this gang from Ketterdam. He is extremely intelligent, he's quick-witted, he built his own gang from nothing. He was orphaned at a very young age and he rose through the ranks of the gang world in Ketterdam, and he is what it is because of his quick wit and grit, and he is the leader of Six of Crows. So the next character is Inaj Khafa. She is the main spy of Kaz because of her ability to be extremely stealthy, and she can slip into any small spaces without being noticed and gather blackmailing material for Kaz. For her faith is very important. Her very many knives are named after saints that she believes in. She was orphaned at a very young age and was forced to work in a brothel called Menagerie at a very young age of 14, I think, and Cass rescues her from there, and then her journey with Cass in the gang begins. So that's Inaj Khafa, another favorite character of mine. Nina Zenik, she is a Grisha, she's a heartrender. She is loud, flirtatious, she's a natural actress. She doesn't hesitate from speaking her mind, and she has a very healthy appetite as well. And because of her natural gift for numerous different languages, she is a great addition to the Kaz Breakers gang. Then comes Jesper. So he comes from his hometown to Ketterdam and to study, but again, Ketterdam, I don't know if I mentioned already, it is a kind of a university town as well. He comes to study there, but then he falls prey to their gambling dens and fall into great debts, and to clear the debt he joins the gang. And he is funny, he is quick with guns, and he also has almost perfect aim, and again, an extremely great addition to the gang. So then comes Matthias. Matthias is a Fjerdan. He's actually a Druskeli. So Druskeli, like I said previously, they are Grisha hunters. But somehow due to some events that happens in the Six of Crows duology, he ends up helping the Crows with almost against his will, and he is extremely prejudiced against the Grisha as well. So let's see how that unfolds. Also, the main characters that we can expect to see, of course there might be many more. I'm a little bit disappointed that we don't get to see Nikolai Lantsov, who is also another favorite character of mine from the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Hoping to see him at least in season 2. Let's see how it goes. Now you have a fair idea of what Grisha are, the layout of the Grishaverse. You also know the main characters from the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and also you know who are the crows that will be appearing in the TV series, who will not be appearing, and who are my favorite characters. So I think you are kind of set to watch the TV series with the basic knowledge of the Grishaverse. So let's use the rest of the days to cozy up and ready ourselves to the premiere of the Shadow and Bone series on April 23rd. Thanks a lot guys for watching. See you soon, another interesting video. Bye.